it is I, the unboxing boy, and I have returned to unbag a series of Robert Altman physical media objects for you today, as many as I could possibly find. Whoa! Look at all this stuff. Look at all this beautiful physical media. This is a life's work accumulating Blu-rays, DVDs, and books chronicling the work and life of one of my favorite directors, Robert Altman, who we are dedicating an episode to on the Big Picture feed this month, and who I have also helped to curate a program of films on the Criterion channel. So I would encourage you to head over there, check out my intro, watch 22 wonderful films on that series. But if you don't have the Criterion channel, you've made a mistake. But if you don't, this is another way to see these movies. You can acquire their physical editions, some of which come from the Criterion collection, but not all of them, unfortunately. And so we're going to take a little journey through the collected works of Robert Altman here. Where should we begin? I mean, I guess we should begin at the beginning, right? So until recently, I didn't own this title. I'm just going to play a little Jenga here as I do this, and you guys can just watch me slide titles in and out, up and down, and try to keep everything as neat as possible. This first title, The Delinquents. This is a 1957 movie shot and set in Kansas City, an independent project written and directed by Robert Altman, starring Tommy Laughlin. And it's fine, but I want to thank the fine people at Olive, which is a defunct Blu-ray company that has issued a couple of different Altman titles that you'll see as I go through this stack, because this is a really small independent film. And it's only really notable because it's Robert Altman's debut feature. And there's an edition of it, so you can watch it anytime you want, as long as you can find it on the internet. So that's a wonderful title. I'm going to cite that one. Let's go through the stack. You know, here you can see we've got Countdown, his first studio feature. We've got that Cold Day in the Park here. I'm just doing this by memory, just listing titles because I've memorized his filmography. Here, of course, we see MASH. When will MASH come to 4K? Many of us are wondering. What else do we have in the stack here? Oh, Brewster McCloud, of course. We're also eagerly awaiting that 4K. Nothing to be heard from. Then let's look at this trilogy here. Oh no, the stack is falling. And that was inevitable. Here's a tripartite hit of Criterion collection Altman titles: Three Women, Nashville, McCabe and Mrs. Miller. Three of his best movies, three of his most beautiful films that have been restored to look the way that they should look, deserve to look at their most beautiful, with incredible extras. Nashville, you know, a little harder to find these days. This is a tough one. My producer, Jack Sanders, said, "Oh, you got Nashville. Oh." Let it be known that when an edition like this hits, I acquire on day one. I pre-order. Now, pre-ordering is dangerous for a couple of reasons. One, you're going to pay top dollar for a pre-order. No discounts, no sales on pre-order. Two, maybe you don't like what you're ordering as much as you think you do. And then you receive it and you watch it and you're like, why did I get this again? I've gotten sucked in by the hype around this forthcoming physical media release. But fortunately, in the case of Robert Altman, nothing to worry about there, because we all know Nashville and Three Women and McCabe and Mrs. Miller are fantastic. Let's continue on down through this stack of films. So, you know, The Long Goodbye, of course, Kino has a wonderful edition. There are a lot of editions of The Long Goodbye that are available out there, one of his very best films. Radiance, this is my copy of Thieves Like Us. There's also a terrific Vinegar Syndrome edition of Thieves Like Us if you like this film. I love what Radiance is doing out of the UK, an incredible label as well. And here's the big tragedy of this entire stack. This is California Split. You may be able to see here, this is a DVD. You remember those? They preceded Blu-ray and 4K as the format of choice for movie lovers. And this is the last physical edition of California Split that's been issued, is this godforsaken DVD, which I guess was printed in 2002. Is that possible? Mill Creek then reissued in 2015. So I think that's what I have here, is the 2015 reissue of this DVD. Just get this movie on 4K. God damn it. What do I have to do? Who do I have to strangle to make this possible? This is one of my favorite movies ever made, and this transfer is just not up to snuff. So let's make it happen. Okay, that's a sad one. Let's find something a little bit more happy. Hey, here's a good one. Buffalo Bill and the Indians, or Sitting Bull's History Lesson. which is a film starring Paul Newman that we talked about both on our Paul Newman Hall of Fame episode and in our Altman episode. And this is a more underrated work, kind of in the middle of Altman's glory period. It's made between Nashville and Three Women. And the fine people at Indicator have issued this one. Indicator, also very underrated British Blu-ray and 4K company that specializes these days more in cultish exploitation movies like Jean Rollin. But this one is a really nifty one, and it's got great features and a great booklet. I read the booklet in preparation for the Paul Newman episode, and I'm quite fond of this. And that's the strange thing about a career like Altman's, right? It's such a huge collection of 70s classics and beloved movies, and yet, like, even more, two films made right in that glory period, 77, 78, 79, A Wedding and A Perfect Couple, two sort of romantic comedies that are actually dark satires of a kind, and they're both only available on DVD. This is painful. Correct this. Here's a DVD of Quintet, which is a not good movie that I find fascinating. This movie also should be reissued, even though only roughly 18 people would buy it, and I probably have a close personal relationship with 14 of those people. All right, moving on. Some 80s titles. Popeye, of course, a famed disaster / charming film. And come back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean. Let's shift back to the big comeback period for him, okay? So throughout the 80s, some of this stuff is kind of hard to find. Let's go through some of it here. Streamers. How many people, show of hands, how many of you have seen Streamers? Do you know Streamers? Do you know what this is? It's an adaptation of a play set in a army barracks. No? No takers? Well, the good people at Shout Factory do. They've issued a DVD. That's all we've gotten because I don't think there's a huge clamoring for it. But then right on the heels of that, Secret Honor, another one of the Criterion editions. This is a DVD of the film, which stars Philip Baker Hall as Richard Nixon in one of his most incredible performances. Really nice edition as well. And then in the 80s, like, a lot of these movies were really hard to find for a long time. And then some of these companies have decided to start issuing them. So here we've got Fool for Love in a really nice Kino Lorber edition starring Sam Shepard and Kim Basinger. Here we've got Beyond Therapy, which was a Tubi classic for a minute there and now has a really nice Blu-ray. And then, of course, another Radiance title, O.C. and Stiggs, which is candidly not one of my favorite Robert Altman movies, a teen comedy that he made back in the early 80s that sat on the shelf for a number of years. But this is also really beautiful and has great features along with it. That's the thing, is every movie can be reclaimed. Anything that you think is even mildly entertaining, there's probably someone out there for whom it is their favorite movie. And that's what all of this is built on. It is, we are waiting to find our perfect customer. We're waiting to find our perfect consumer. We're waiting to find our perfect fan who will truly get O.C. and Stiggs in a way that I just can't. I need these also to be upgraded to Blu-ray. Here we have Tanner 88, a lovely addition from the Criterion Collection. This is his television show that he co-created with Gary Trudeau. A very funny political satire. Here's the very rarely seen Tanner on Tanner DVD that Showtime aired, which real ones know this is unfortunately a bit damaged here. I think I bought it used some years ago and somebody didn't take care of it. And God damn it, take care of your physical media, please. And then here is something that didn't even come up on the episode. Herman Wouk's The Kane Mutiny Court Martial, which is an adaptation of that play that has been made into a movie a few times. And in fact, it was William Friedkin, the late great William Friedkin. His last film was an adaptation of this same military trial movie. And this is a pretty solid edition too. It stars Eric Bogosian, Jeff Daniels, Peter Gallagher, and longtime Altman troop member Michael Murphy. That's rare material there. Let's go into the mega hits. Shortcuts in the Player. These are must-owns. If you do not own these movies on Blu-ray, you're not real. So if you want to be real, you have to get these and understand why they matter so much. Less important is Vincent and Theo, but this also comes from Olive. Can't say it's a movie I even like. Why do I own it? I probably own it just so I can make this video for you. Just so I can show you how ill I am. And I am ill. Let's keep going through the latter stages of his career. Here's an Italian edition of Pret-a-Porter on DVD. This film also just not available on Blu-ray for reasons that are absolutely bizarre. Is this the only Julia Roberts movie not available on Blu-ray? Possible. What else do I see here? Do the real ones know about Gun, a 6-film anthology? This was a mini-movie series that aired on ABC in the late 1990s. Here we see James Gandolfini holding a gun and wearing a sleeveless white shirt. He looks just like Tony Soprano in this picture. This is something Tony Soprano might wear and do, and yet it is not Tony Soprano. He's just one of the stars of one of these films. Altman just has one title on here. It's called All the President's Women. It's pretty amusing. Here we see a really nice Arrow Academy edition of Kansas City, which is a very solid late 90s, very personal story for Altman, whose family is from Kansas City, about the world of jazz. And Arrow Academy is something I miss. Arrow, the great British distributor that would pluck classic film titles and make them a part of their Academy series, which is meant to highlight historical works of international and American cinema. I don't think they make those anymore, and I mourn them because I really enjoyed them. Let's keep going on down the line. This is the mysterious The Gingerbread Man, which is a movie that Universal released in 1998, an adaptation of a John Grisham story that Amanda had never heard of, which I find absolutely fascinating. I've never put this Blu-ray in a Blu-ray player, and yet I own it. Moving on. Dr. T and the Women, only available on DVD. Fix this. Another Arrow Academy edition, Gosford Park, one of Altman's most beloved late period films, nominated for Best Picture and Best Director, and a box office hit to boot. This is a really beautiful edition of this movie, and is a lot of fun to watch. One of my wife's favorites, probably my wife's favorite Altman movie. Here we see the Academy, the Company on DVD. It's fine. And then his final film, A Prairie Home Companion, which was recently reissued by Warner's Archive, which does a great job looking after their films over time. Now, you may notice right in the center of us here, I've also got some books. I'm just going to highlight a couple of these books because I read all these books to prep for this episode. You might not be able to tell that based on the conversations that we had on the episode, but trust me, there's a lot of research going into this. This is an Altman coffee table book that was compiled by Catherine Reed Altman, in part his surviving wife, and a huge part of his story after they married in the 1960s. And here you can see a pretty comprehensive look at his early years, at his great films, at his favorite stars. This is a very special, beautifully designed and illustrated book that comes to us from Abrams. So you can check that out. I really like that one. This one is also, this is for the real heads as well. This is Robert Altman Jumping Off the Cliff, which is a 600-page biography written by Patrick McGilligan. You can see it right here. As you can see, I've got a used library copy because I bought that on eBay. And this is deep. This is a really, really deep exploration of the man's entire work and career, primarily focused on his work, less of a personal exploration, but that is worth your time. The most fun read, I think, in the Altman bibliography is this book that was published after he passed called Robert Altman, The Oral Biography. Oh no, all the Blu-rays fell, guys. But you'll never see because I'm going to leave the book up. You can look at Robert Altman deeply into his eyes. Don't look at me. Don't look at what I'm doing. Watch Altman. Just look deeply into his eyes. Don't move. There's nothing happening behind the book, I assure you. In this book, he talks to, Mitchell Zukoff, the author, talks to dozens of collaborators, friends, film scholars, people who understood the world of Altman beautifully and got their testimony. And it is organized like an oral history, which of course we are fond of doing here at The Ringer. I've worked on many oral histories over the years. This is a really, really cool one. It's also a very fun audiobook to listen to if you like that, because it's like a series of storytellers colliding into each other and almost talking over each other the way you might with a Robert Altman movie. So it's a really good time. I brought out my copy of Michael Tolkin's The Player, which is the novel that he wrote and that Altman based his film on, which is just incredibly entertaining and is even a little bit darker than the movie, if you can believe that. And I just quite like this book, so I thought I'd pull it out. And then this is the coup de grace. This is my favorite thing. This is Altman on Altman. It's published by David Thompson, the famed film historian and critic who knows more about movies than almost any living human. And he is a great admirer of Altman's work, and they built a relationship over time. And he had a series of long conversations with him, more or less about every movie he made. Now, he has passing glances about some smaller films, and he goes into great depth on other films. But this is a critical work, something that I read early on when I started getting really obsessed with Altman in the 2000s. And it also has an introduction by the great Paul Thomas Anderson, who befriended Altman after admiring his career for decades. So this is a life in Altman appreciation. I can't recommend you buy all this stuff. You don't need all of these things. But if you want to show me that you are like me and that we are in this together in not just our appreciation for Altman, but in our sickness, take a picture, send it along. What did I forget? What am I missing? What don't I have? There are a few titles that are not here. Some of them don't exist. Some of them exceed $100 on eBay, which is, I will not pay more than $100 on eBay for a DVD. I do think I paid north of $65 for one of these DVDs. I'm not going to say which one, and I don't feel good about it. But I do this for you, and I do this for myself. Once again, this has been the Unboxing Boy. We'll see you on the other side.